So when a church is having some internal strife, some grumbling, some conflict, a period of like a doldrum, there are three questions that can be asked of every member and every attendee. Now, I developed something that I called the Fireside Chats, and I used these three questions and presented them to every member and every attendee. And I gave every member, every attendee, a chance to come and verbalize their responses to these three questions. So let's listen in on this video that I did. You're only watching the opening section of the video. It was an extensive program to aid and help any congregation through a period of strife, grumbling, questioning, and conflict. Now, these three questions are excellent for any congregation. So let's listen in. Now, the Fireside Chat centers around three questions. And these questions are very simple questions that anyone can respond to in a very simple manner. In fact, responding in a simple manner is encouraged. The first question, what is our church doing well? And this question seeks to get a response of affirmation. What is right about your church? What programs are right and good? What has the staff been doing that's helpful? How have the deacons been helpful? What about the proclamation of the word and sacrament? What is good in your church? Now, the interesting thing about these fireside chats is that it's centered around the same idea that you find in the book of Revelation, the 7 churches in the book of Revelation. And for each church, the church will receive a word of affirmation. What is the church doing right? And that is the first question for the respondents. Of course, the next question is, what is the church not doing so well? And here again, we're seeking for some mild word of reproof. If it's a strong word of reproof, then so be it. It's up to each individual to express what they wish to express without any influence from anyone, and to simply put down exactly what their thoughts are. What is the church not doing? Where has the church failed? Where does the church need to improve? And once again, back to the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, the churches will also get a word of rebuke. So the churches get a word of commendation, and then the churches get a word of condemnation in the book of Revelation, the 7 churches. So in a sense, this is what the Fireside Chats hopes to do, to get words of affirmation, but then also to get words of where the church needs to improve. Now, the third question makes the Fireside Chats very personable, and the third question is very simple. Why are you still attending our church? And we all know in the land in which we live in, folks can go down the road a few blocks or a few miles, and there's another church. So why have your attendees or your members not gone down a few blocks to another church or a few miles to another church, but they have remained with you? Now this question begs to know, what meaning does this church hold in your life? And here's where you find some very powerful sharing that will occur when we hear stories about how the church was there when their loved one died, how the church was there when they went through an unemployment situation, how the church was there when their loved one was seriously ill and in the hospital, how the church was there when they were in crisis. So here is where you will hear some very powerful testimonies from the members of your congregation and the attendees. Okay, so I'll stop it right here, but what I did was I had everyone fill out a survey paper with those 3 questions and then bring them to a small group and share them. So you can have several small groups, and everyone gets an opportunity to come to a small group and verbally share their responses. Then you take the responses and tabulate them and create a booklet. You do not use names, but you use numbers to tabulate them. Now, I called it the Fireside Chats, and it definitely did help the congregation that I was serving, because people were able to verbalize and share their thoughts, their emotions, and their spiritual experiences within the church, rather than leaving the discontent or the conflict or the grumbling in the hands of just a few people. This brings it out to everyone, and everyone gets a collective sense of, this is our church, this is the body of Christ, and we need to work through this, whatever it is, whatever particular situation is in your church, whatever particular conflict or the specific grumblings or whatever is causing the church to go through a doldrum. Everyone then shares the problem, and everyone then shares the opportunity to improve upon the church. So those 3 questions are now yours, and I encourage you to use them. You don't have to wait until your church is in a mess. You can do it when your church is experiencing a wonderful time. But nevertheless, those 3 questions are now yours. And may God bless them, and God use them in your church and in your situation. Thank you for watching. End of video.